I think the secret to Podegar's success is the fact they just go after any watch out there and they try to homage it, but without increasing the price above 15 to 18 bucks before tax. And that's exactly what they did with this Model 682. So it's actually trying to homage Seiko Captain Willard. Can you imagine this? An alloy case watch is trying to homage that look, but it sort of does it. Considering this watch costs 15 bucks before tax, we get a very interesting homage. Like, we get a bezel that doesn't mimic being rotatable. It does actually rotate, and it works. It's functional. It gets a date complication. It actually gets decent lume. Well, not much worse than Pagani designs for like triple the price. So this is interesting, and we need to talk about this Podegar 682 in detail. Now, the link to the listing is in the description below the video. Also, I've left some discount codes and a link to my collection. So basically, all the watches we've been discussing as of late in one place. And now let's dive in and talk about it in detail. Let's start with some cons. So this case and bezel setup are alloy. They're not stainless steel. The insert isn't ceramic either, no matter what the listing says. But set those expectations right and you'll find a lot to like with this watch. This Podegar 682 clocks in at 44mm across the case, with a thickness of 13.5mm and a surprisingly wrist-friendly 48mm lug-to-lug length, thanks to inverted end links. The case shape leans heavily on a Seiko-inspired design. No names here, but you'll recognize the wide flanks and those bold muscular lugs. What's impressive is how they've executed the curvature. The polished alloy case folds under itself with a nice, almost seamless radius. And on a material like alloy, where you usually get soft, muddied transitions, this one stays sharp and crisp. There's definition, there's geometry, and it carries the visual weight really well. Now let's look at the stack from the side, and we've got a layered design here. So below the flank, we've got the lip of that snap-on case back forming a tiered silhouette. Above the flank, we get the tall, wide coin-edge bezel. And let's talk about that bezel, because this is where things get interesting. It's a 60-click unidirectional bezel, not 120, what we're used to seeing on more premium divers. And that means that each click has more travel between it. Over at 3 o'clock, we've got a push-pull crown. And yes, it's guarded. That alone is decent. But what sells it, it is signed. Can you believe it? A watch for 15 bucks before tax gets a signed push-pull crown. You've got the Podegar crest neatly engraved on the crown tip. The crown here measures a healthy 6.4mm in diameter, sitting snugly between its guards with almost no visual gap. That is clean execution for any price. Despite being a push-pull crown setup, it's easy to grip and operate, mostly due to the notchy thread as well as those 6.4mm across. Let's talk bezel now. As I've mentioned, it's not a ceramic insert, and what we've got here is a printed scale, likely directly applied onto the alloy or steel. And rather than the usual 120-click setup, this one rotates with 60 clicks, meaning each descent covers more angular ground. That extra space between clicks introduces a bit of float, and while there's no traditional backplay, you can land between clicks if you apply just the right pressure. But here's the kicker. The bezel action itself feels solid. The tall coin-edge grip is deeply cut and easy to grab, even with gloves or wet hands. Rotation resistance leans more tight than light, offering a ratchety spring-loaded feel. Each forward click pushes back just a touch before snapping in, delivering surprisingly decent tactile feedback. Now, it's not flawless, but remember this watch is 15 bucks before tax. Most watches in this range don't even have real bezels. They mimic a bezel. This one actually turns, it's functional, it works, and that alone is a big win. Let's talk about the bracelet, because this is potentially another win for this Podegar. So while the case is alloy, the bracelet is actually stainless steel, and it's not as basic as you'd expect. Yes, these are hollow links, but this is a 7-link design, highly unusual at this budget, or basically any budget below 50 bucks. The outer links are brushed, the 5 inner links are polished, giving it a layered, upscale look. It's held together with push pins, which is expected at this price once again, but the surprise is in the fit. Inverted end links mean the bracelet drops straight down from the case, hugging the wrist without flaring out. And you can see how it sits on my 6.5-inch wrist. There is no overhang at all. The tolerances, well, they're not perfect. There is a fair bit of stretch, but the link articulation and link fluidity are excellent. We get a butterfly clasp on this bracelet. It's clean, symmetrical, and funnily enough, it's actually signed with the logo and the brand name. How cool is that? Flip the watch over and you'll find a simple snap-on case back with printed specs on the perimeter. Basic, but functional. And now we get to center stage, the dial. And here's where the watch starts showing real personality. There are multiple dial variants available: black, blue, green, aquamarine, and this navy blue we've got in front of us. But regardless of the color you pick, what immediately grabs you is the subtle dome on the hardlex crystal. It's not a tall dome, just a whisper of curvature, but it adds ambient depth and gives the dial a slight magnification that really pulls you in. Underneath that crystal, we've got a sunburst navy blue dial. It's strong, it's rich, and it catches the light beautifully. Around the edge, we got a contrasting minute track. And for the hour markers, we get elongated chrome framed Lume batons. Now, the cardinal markers at 6, 9, and 12 are slightly wider, providing a sense of visual weight and balance, even though this isn't a fully symmetrical dial. At 3 o'clock, we get a day-date window, framed in white, which helps it stand out against the darker dial tones. It doesn't crowd the dial. It's clean, sharp, and once again, the dial remains balanced. For the handset, we get a classic sword style for the hour and minute hands and a thin chrome seconds hand with a triangular Lume pip edged in red. It's a nice touch of detail, sporty, legible, and just, not expected on a Poedagar. For the branding, we get the Poedagar name and logo under 12 and the only word quartz above 6, and that's it. The result is an uncluttered, open dial that lets the sunburst and Lume work shine. Now for the Lume, this is not super luminova, but for under 20 bucks, it's frankly excellent. It's not perfectly even, and it fades faster than premium Lume, but it punches way above what we usually see in this category. It's bright and more usable than what you usually see in the range. If this is the new standard for Poedagar's budget lineup, that's a very good sign for the brand. When I do these reviews about Poedagar watches and the like SCME watches, I usually ask myself, how many compromises can a watch have? And it seems that this Poedagar has plenty, but let's be fair, it's got a lot of these pros as well, and you just can't go past this price. Anyways, I hope you did enjoy the video and you found it useful and insightful. Anyways, the affiliate link is in the description below the video. There you'll also find some discount codes and the link to my collection. Check it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.